So in this question of apartment, we are given that there are n applicants and m free apartment, and your task is to distribute the apartment so that as many applicants as possible will get an apartment. So basically, if you look at the test case, basically the question says that you will be given n applicant, and also will be given m apartment. Now, applicant will have demand of the apartment sizes like we have. If you look at the test case, we have 60, 45, 80, and 60. These are the 4 applicants, and we will also be given 3 apartment sizes like 30, 60, and 75, and we will be given also a special value k. I'll talk it afterwards. We'll given a value k. Now, these are the applicant sizes, the demand of the applicant, the size of apartment they require, and these are the available apartment sizes. Now, using this value k is the range that we will get using the apartment array. We will do plus minus 5k plus minus 5 to all of these apartment sizes that are available, and if the applicant's apartment size lies in the range, we will increment keep a counter, and we'll increment the counter to counter plus plus to maintain and to see how many applicants are getting an apartment. So if you do it, plus minus 5k, we'll get 25 to 35, 55 to 65, and 70 to 80. Now these are the ranges, and if the applicants, and this question says that if the applicant's apartment sizes lies in this range, then applicant will be allocated an apartment. Now if we iterate through it, like for 60, now as 60 lies in this range, so we'll maintain a counter initially to 0 and increment counter to counter plus plus, and this is used. Now next 45, now 45 does not lie in any of the range, so we'll move to next 80. 80 lies in this range, so we'll increment counter again to counter plus plus, and this is again used. And at the last 60, now 60 does not lie in this range, so our final answer of counter will be 2, which simply means that 2 applicant will be allocated to 2 apartments. So counter is 2, this will be our answer. Now you can solve this question using map, but I would say the most efficient way would be to use 2-pointer method. In 2-pointer method, what we do is we generally given 2 arrays and we sort both of them and assign 2 pointer to both of these array and iterate over it. I'll give you an example of this one. First, what we are going to do is we given 2 array. One array is of applicants, and another array is of apartments. Now, first we will sort both of these array. Our array would look something like 45, 60, 60, and 80. And the apartment array would look something like 30, 60, 75. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to assign one pointer I to the first array and another pointer j to the second array. Now we are going to iterate over it. We need to keep in mind the range of each of these apartment using the value k. 30 will be from 25 to 35, 60 will be from 55 to 65, and 75 will be from 70 to 80. Now if, and I'm saying it again, if the apartment size is within if the applicant size, applicants demanded apartment size within the range of this given array, then it will be accepted. In given range, it will be accepted, like 60 will be accepted here and another 80 will be accepted here. So now what we are going to do is we're going to have 3 conditions. We're going to have one for loop for int. We are going to start I and j from 1, I is equals to 0, j is equals to 0, and I will be less than applicant size is n, and j is less than apartment size, which is m, given in the question, and we going to iterate it inside this for loop, increment I and j inside this for loop. Now this for loop will run at a time, it will run over both of this array. we are going to have just three if else condition. It will solve the problem. The first condition, see, we are given two ranges. The first condition we will check is if what if the applicant's apartment size is less than the minimum. Another condition will be what if the applicant's apartment size is within minimum and maximum. And the last condition will be what if the applicant's apartment size is greater than the maximum. See, if the applicant I, matlab this one 45, if 45 is less than apartment J minus K, so apartment J minus K will give me 25. if this happens, that means कि जैसे कि भूल जाओ कि यहाँ पे 45 है, imagine कि यहाँ पे 12 है. Now 12 is clearly smaller than 25, right? Now if 12 is smaller than 25, 12 will be smaller than all of these numbers. So 12, this applicant demands an apartment size of 12, so 12 will never be accepted. So what we will do is this applicant will never get an apartment, so we'll increment I to I plus plus, right? यहाँ पे 12 नहीं है तो मैं बता रहा एग्जाम्पल के लिए कि अगर 12 होता तो we would have it incremented I to I plus plus and moved to apartment 60, right? If this happens, what we are going to do simply is increment I to I plus plus. Now the next question, the next condition will be else if this does not happen, what we are going to check is if the applicant's apartment size lies in the range. What will happen if applicant's apartment size lies in the range ki applicant I is greater than equals to apartment apartment J minus K, and applicant I is less than equals to apartment J plus K. Now apartment J plus K is 35. So what if the 45 is great? Let's take an example ki let's say 30. What if 30 is greater than 25 and less than 35? So this applicant will be allocated this apartment. So what we are going to do is we are going to, so this applicant, as this applicant is allocated an apartment, we are going to increment I to I plus plus, and as this apartment is already occupied, so we are not going to check for any other applicant who will get this apartment. So we are also going to increment J to J plus plus. And the third condition is that as this apartment is allocated, we are maintaining a counter throughout the program, and we'll increment the counter to counter plus plus. What we are going to do here is that we'll increment I plus plus. As this applicant is allocated an apartment, we are going to do J plus plus. As this apartment is already allocated, so no one else gets the same apartment. As we have discussed, two applicants cannot get the same apartment, and we are going to maintain a counter कि एक apartment allocate हो गया एक applicant को. And we are going to have one last condition else. What if this size, see clearly we had 45. What if 45 is greater than the maximum value, like 35 plus K? If 45 is greater than 35 plus K, this apartment will never be allocated to this person. Now that is not the case. As this is the smallest number, these are even the larger number. This will also not be allocated this apartment. So what we are going to do is we are simply going to increment J to J plus plus, hoping that the next bigger apartment size will get allocated to this person. See, only it does, like 45. No, it does not. 45 does not lie in this range also. And so what we are going to check is if apartment size is greater than the larger limit. If apartment size is greater than the larger limit, we are going to move J to J plus plus. Else, and only the one condition, the greater condition is left, is we're going to do J plus plus, and the program ends here. See, we have solved this problem using just three if else condition. If I'm going to say it again, if the apartment size is smaller than the smaller limit, so this applicant will never be allocated in any apartment. The second condition is that if this applicant size is between the limit कि छोटे से बड़ा हो या बड़े लिमिट से छोटा हो, then this applicant will be allocated this apartment. So we'll increment all of these three iterator I plus plus, j plus plus, and we'll keep a counter and do counter plus plus. And what if I is greater than the maximum limit? So this apartment will never be allocated to any of these applicant. Any of these applicant will never be allocated. If 45 is greater than 35, then this apartment will never be allocated to any of these applicant over here. So we are simply going to increment j to j plus plus, hoping that the next apartment will accommodate the customer, right? So this is the code that will work. Now discussing over the time complexity. Simply we have forget about this two line again. Simply we have taken the inputs of the apartment and the required, matlab the given apart. Sorry, we are given two arrays, taken the inputs of required and apartment. Required is the applicant and apartment is the apartment that we are given, and we have taken all the inputs. Now we have done the sorting of these two. Now the time complexity of this is n log n, an average case, O n log n, depending upon the value n. Now we have done one single for loop iterating over both of these array. One of this for loop checks if the condition is satisfied. If it lies in the applicant's apartment size lies in the range of minimum to maximum. अगर minimum से maximum के अंदर lie करता है apartment size, then it will be accepted. So this condition says that if it is smaller than the smaller limit, if it is smaller than the smaller limit, will increment I to I plus plus, as we have seen key. If it is smaller than this smaller limit, will increment I to I plus plus, and at last we have, if it is larger, if the apartment size is larger than the larger limit of the first this one apartment, then we'll increment j to j plus plus, as this apartment will never be allocated. So this is our code, and at last we are maintaining a counter and printing the counter. So for this question, I guess the answer will be 2. Yeah, the answer will be 2.